Worried about gout? Check out Ural, the effective urinary alkalinizer. Ural, neutralize your uric acid problem now.
This is KiniNews and I'm host Prasad. Azam Baki's appointment as MACC's Chief Commissioner happened during the time when Muhyiddin Yassin was Prime Minister. But according to Muhyiddin, he did not appoint Azam Baki. Perhaps he was too busy with the response against COVID-19. Former Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin has denied appointing MACC Chief Commissioner Azam Baki. This comes after Pengerang MP Azalina Othman side questioned whether Muhyiddin had checked Azam's background before advising his appointment. Asra Awani quoted Muhyiddin as telling reporters yesterday that it was Government Chief Secretary Muhammad Zuki Ali who had appointed Azam. According to the report, the appointment was made after the nomination received royal assent from the young di-Pertuan Agong. While Muhyiddin admitted the appointment was made during his time as Prime Minister, he did not make the appointment. He said the Chief Secretary nominated Azam because he thought he was fit for the post. The statement apparently contradicts Azam's press release on March 9, 2020, following his appointment. In the statement, Azam thanked Muhyiddin for proposing his appointment to the King and the young di-Pertuan Agong for assenting to the appointment. So while Muhyiddin Yassin may have washed his hands of Azam Baki, Lim Kit Siang says Parliament cannot do the same. DAP's veteran leader Lim Kit Siang says Parliament will become a national embarrassment if it ignores MACC's recent controversies. Lim added that the government's refusal to add the allegations against MACC Chief Azam Baki to the agenda to next week's special Parliament sitting is adding insult to injury. The special Parliament sitting next Thursday was called to discuss flash floods last month that have devastated parts of the country. Lim noted that the opposition had already called for the flash floods to be discussed at the end of the previous Day 1 Rakyat sitting, which concluded on December 16th. However, the government had ignored the calls, only to finally give in weeks later. Lim added that there were no signs that Prime Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob was trying to salvage his premiership by asking Parliament to discuss the MACC controversy. Azam came under the spotlight over his ownership of shares in Gets Global Berhad on April 30, 2015, worth over 700,000 at the time. So it looks like Muhyiddin wants nothing to do with Azam Baki and Parliament just doesn't have time for him. So who do we blame this controversy on? The MACC's Anti-Corruption Advisory Board statement was not accurately and holistically reported by the media, according to the board's chairperson, Abu Zahar Ujang. He blamed the media for the controversy that arose from his January 5th press conference. During the press conference, he declared that MACC Chief Commissioner Azam Baki did not commit any wrongdoing with regard to his share ownership in 2015. He said he was well aware that the board does not have the power to investigate criminal wrongdoing by an MACC officer. Abu Zar added that he did not object to an official probe by an investigating authority. During the January 5th press conference, Abu Zahar said the board was satisfied with Azam's explanation. Abu Zahar had also explained that the shares were not Azam's but were instead bought by his younger brother in his name. There's no news so far of Azam Baki being called by the police, but a group of PKR leaders who protested against him will be at Bukit Aman tomorrow. PKR youth leaders have been summoned by the police for investigations following the group's protests outside the MACC headquarters yesterday. PKR Youth Chief Akmal Nasser said the protest leaders will be investigated under the Peaceful Assembly Act. He said they will be present at the Putrajaya District Police Headquarters tomorrow to be investigated. Akmal said in a statement today that they would fully cooperate with the police. However, he stressed that the intimidation of whistleblowers and pressure groups needs to be stopped immediately. Instead, he added, MACC Chief Azam Baki needs to be suspended for a thorough investigation to be carried out. A group of PKR youth members and supporters held a peaceful protest in front of the MACC headquarters in Putrajaya yesterday, demanding its Chief Commissioner Azam Baki to step down. The group of about 30 people led by Akmal also demanded that the government launch an investigation against the top anti-graft officer. Now we have a message from our sponsors. When we're back, we take a look at alleged double standards.
Pening, tangan dan kaki kebas, letih. Ini mungkin tanda peredaran darah kurang baik. Cubalah Thompson Activated Ginkgo dengan teknologi aktivasi dari Jepun yang menghancurkan ginkgo biloba dan melekat pada dinding usus untuk penyerapan lebih baik. bagi membantu memperbaiki peredaran darah. Kawalan kualiti memastikan ia mudah larut dengan daun muda ginkgo dari Jepun. Untuk peredaran darah yang lebih baik, cubalah Thompson Activated Ginkgo. Ini adalah Medifax untuk Thompson.
Do you experience double standards? Let us know in the comments. This is what one PKR women's leader in Johor experienced recently. Johor PKR women's leader Napsia Kamis was allegedly prevented from distributing aid at a Pago flood relief centre while wearing PKR colours. However, she said she was further angered only to see former Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin descend on the scene in Perikatan national attire. Napsia said she had been carrying out flood relief activities in Johor both as a PKR member and as the chairperson of the charity Bidadari. She said that when they first arrived at the flood relief centre at the Dewan Serbaguna Pago in a Hilux full of supplies, they were welcomed. Speaking to Malaysia Kini, she said the Disaster Management Committee was aware of their flood relief work and a RELA officer at the site welcomed them in, saying the supplies were much needed. However, she said after a while an official told them that they could not enter the premise to deliver aid while wearing clothes bearing the PKR logo. Napsia said they were disappointed but went outside, only to find that Muhyiddin was arriving for a visit. She said while she was told that she could not enter, Muhyiddin was then walking around and greeting flood victims, all while wearing a PN cap and shirt. Napsia said she then entered wearing a bidadari top and approached Muhyiddin to ask about the double standards, but he did not reply and she was escorted away from him. PPIM continues to push for more EPF withdrawals and they've sought Najib's help to get the message across. The Malaysian Muslim Consumers Association submitted a memorandum to Najib Abdul Razak urging the Employees Provident Fund to allow another round of withdrawals. Najib accepted the memorandum at his office in Bukit Pantai, Bangsa. The document will be passed on to Prime Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob. Najib returned to his office after receiving the memorandum and did not address the media. PPIM chairperson Nazim Johan said the withdrawal was necessary as there are still contributors who are not able to find a stable job. He added that many had been impacted during the prolonged lockdown last year. By convention, an EPF contributor can only withdraw from account 2 based on special circumstances such as to purchase a house or education purposes. No withdrawal is allowed from account 1 except for retirement, incapacitation, death or if someone is leaving the country for good. However, the government, faced with fiscal constraint and unable to provide sufficient aid, had decided to allow EPF contributors to dip into the account 1. Finance Minister Tengku Zafrul Abdul Aziz has maintained that no further withdrawal will be allowed. He had cautioned that over 6 million members have less than 10,000 ringgit left in their retirement savings. Muda's simple membership registration process is causing a bit of a problem. The Malaysian United Democratic Alliance, or Muda, has been accused of signing people up as members without consent. However, the youth-based party denied falsifying membership, saying instead that it was a hiccup due to the possible abuse of its simple registration process. The issue cropped up after PKR member Bong Jeng Fung received an email from Muda last Saturday saying that his party membership had been approved despite never applying. He said it was quite shocking because he never approached or contacted any Muda members. Bong questioned whether the party was registering members without consent in order to pad up membership numbers. He said his number indicated more than 30,000 people had joined the party. When contacted, Muda Secretary General Amira Aisha admitted to flaws in the membership registration process but denied any ill intent or malice by the party. She said at present the registration process was very simple and not foolproof, leaving the possibility that it could be misused to sign people up without consent. And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube and Facebook for the latest news updates. If you'd like to support independent media, do consider subscribing to MalaysiaKini.com.